Hello, friend, and welcome to Inside the Dark. Thank you for joining me. The doorbell video I'm about to show you is of precious little 4-year-old Seraphine Gingles walking down the street, talking to her father. What the video doesn't show is that 4-year-old Seraphine Gingles is following her father down the street as he hunts her mother down to kill her. After he just shot and killed her grandfather at her home. And even though you can't make out what she's saying, witnesses say she could be heard telling her father to stop as her mother ran for her life, pounding on neighbors' doors for help. Much more chilling now, isn't it? And when the nephew of one of her neighbors answered, little Seraphine was forced to watch as her father gunned the man down in his doorway, along with her mother, who ran into his house. Then Nathan Gingles took his 4-year-old daughter and fled the scene. It was the morning of February 16th, 2025, just before 6 a.m., when neighbors say shots rang out, followed by terrifying screams on North Grand Duke Circle in Tamarack, Florida, as Seraphine's father, Nathan Gingle, who was going through a divorce from her mother, Mary Gingle, showed up unexpectedly at their house, looking to kill. When neighbors heard the gunshots and screams, they called police. And when police arrived at the home of Mary Gingles, they found her father, David Ponzer, deceased from a gunshot wound on the back patio of her home, with a coffee cup still in his hand. Learning that a small child lived in the home with her mother, police sent out an Amber Alert for Seraphine and her mother, thinking that they both had been abducted by Gingles. Then, around 11 a.m., Gingles' car was spotted in a Walmart parking lot in North Lauderdale, where Seraphine was found safe and her father was taken into custody. Police still had not located her mother. Then around 4 p.m., police said during their search for Mary, they found her deceased at the neighbor's home, along with the neighbor's 35-year-old nephew, Andrew Farron, who died because he answered the door and tried to help save Mary. Here is a series of news clips with the details of this horrific story.
And our team coverage turns now to North Lauderdale, where that 4-year-old was actually found.
And Local 10's Terrell Forney is live at the scene with all of the latest. Terrell, what have you learned?
Well, this was quite the scene for shoppers who just showed up to this Walmart for just a little bit of shopping, but they unknowingly found themselves in the middle of a crime scene and a very complex investigation here. Part of this parking lot roped off as detectives worked this area, and that 4-year-old girl was found safe. Not long after a statewide Amber Alert was issued over the whereabouts of 4-year-old Seraphina Gingles, BSO's Viper units honed in on this Walmart shopping center on West McNabb Road in North Lauderdale. Here, deputies found the actual BMW X3 with Texas license plates. That was the focus of the alert, believed to be the one used in the young girl's kidnapping.
She was safe and unharmed. Deputies also located Nathan Gingles.
The arrest was made a short time later. 43-year-old Nathan Gingles in custody, and his estranged wife also pronounced dead from a gunshot wound back in that Tamarack neighborhood where it all began. Court records show the former couple had been in and out of the courtroom over the past year over child custody arrangements and domestic violence accusations. And just 3.5 weeks ago, a judge granted Mary Gingles an extension on a restraining order that she filed against Nathan. And so far, again, Nathan Gingles has just been charged in connection with violating that protective order. Detectives at this point not ruling out more charges to be filed down the road. As for that unit with the Broward Sheriff's Office that honed in on that man and that 4-year-old girl in that vehicle, VIPER is an acronym that stands for Violence Intervention Proactive Enforcement Response. That team being credited for putting an end to this statewide Amber Alert. We are live in North Lauderdale. Terrell Fournier, Local 10 News.
We begin with breaking news. Most of you probably received this Amber Alert this morning for a kidnapped child and a woman. Tonight, we know that child has been found safe. The woman is dead, and the father on your screen is in custody. Good evening, I'm Chelsea Jones. This investigation began with a man found dead in a Tamarack home, and that is where we begin our team coverage. CBS News Miami's Anna McAllister joining us live from the street where both death investigations are happening. Anna, you just heard from BSO a short time ago.
Yes, Chelsea, that's right. Thankfully, that little girl, she is okay. That is a silver lining in the situation. But tragically, 2 people are dead. A man, like you mentioned, found dead here earlier today, and that little girl's mom also found dead earlier this afternoon. Still a very active scene. We have seen dozens of police officers here on the scene. I'm going to take a step out of the way so you get a better look. You can see that BSO Mobile Command Center has been stationed out here for hours trying to figure out what happened here on the 5800 block of North Plum Bay Parkway. Now, I want to bring you to a picture of the mother. According to BSO, the mom who was shot to death is 34-year-old Mary Gingles. They discovered she and Gingles' 4-year-old daughter were missing. When they came out to investigate, they found a man who was shot to death inside of the home. That happened earlier this morning. Now, an Amber Alert was issued for the mother and the daughter. Police believe the girl's father and estranged husband of Mary, 43-year-old Nathan Gingles, took his daughter from the home here this morning. And at the time, Mary, the girl's mother, she was also missing. Now, around 11 o'clock in the morning, they found the little girl unharmed with her father, Nathan, in North Lauderdale. Police took Nathan into custody for violating an injunction regarding contact with this little girl. And again, earlier this afternoon, police found the child's mother, Mary, shot to death in a home here on North Plum Bay Parkway. Now, we did some digging and we found some court documents out of Broward County. And we found that Mary had filed an injunction against Nathan last February, almost a year to the day, following a domestic violence incident. She also filed for a divorce. Now, we're still working to learn the identity of the man who was found deceased here this morning and his relationship to this family. Of course, as you can see behind me, this is a developing story, and as we learn more, we'll keep you updated on air and online. But for now, reporting live from Tamarack, Anna McAllister, CBS News, Miami.
Hey, Anna, thank you for those details. Our team coverage continues right now with CBS News Miami's Steve Majuri, who is taking us through how this all began.
Just after 6 a.m., Broward deputies found a man who was shot on Plum Bay Parkway in Tamarack. That man died at the scene. Police haven't identified the victim.
They're advising about 4 rounds heard.
While they were there, deputies found out that 4-year-old Serafina Gingles and her mother Mary Gingles were missing. Deputies say Nathan Gingles took the girl away.
Carrying a 4-year-old white female, light green shirt, white shorts, no shoes.
Both Serafina and Mary Catherine are considered endangered at this time.
An Amber Alert went out just after 10 a.m. with the description of the suspect and the car that he was in. Within an hour, deputies found that car in a Walmart parking lot in North Lauderdale. Deputies say they found Serafina and Nathan, but the girl's mother wasn't with them. Janae Love got that Amber Alert and was there as the deputies got the little girl to safety.
As we're going in, we even were looking around to see if we seen the little girl. Came out and they found the little girl, thankfully.
BSO is still investigating the shooting and its connection to the incident. In Tamarack, Steve Majiri, CBS News, Miami.
Tragedy in Tamarack. A man who was the subject of an Amber Alert is accused of kidnapping his daughter and killing 3 people, including his own wife.
Chilling new video here showing the suspect walking down the street with a 4-year-old girl as she has pleaded with him to stop. And according to investigators, she was following the little girl's mother with a gun in hand. And we have live team coverage for you now. Local 10's Roy Ramos standing by with what he's learned about the suspect and his relationship with the victims.
But first, our Andrew Perez is live at the scene with the horrifying moments leading up to this tragedy. Andrew.
It's one of those situations that really gets your blood boiling here. We do want to warn you, some of the images, some of the details are very disturbing. This was a young mother. She ran out of that house trying to get away from her ex-husband, went across the street, door to door to door, looking for help. Residents telling us, given their history, this could have been avoided. You hear the gunshots. Soon after, screams. A father calmly walking with his daughter after that.
She's behind him, and you could just hear her pleading for her dad to stop. Daddy, stop, don't do it.
Neighbors stunned. Deputies say 43-year-old Nathan Gingles ambushed his estranged wife, Mary. Her father and daughter were also in her Tamarack home. Nathan allegedly shot Mary's father during a fight. So she ran, screaming for help, door to door, Nathan following with little Serafina at his side.
I seen the father crossing the road with the little girl behind him. It wasn't really a run. It was more like a brisk walk, like he knew he was set out to do something.
I am definitely heartbroken.
Mary made it to the home of neighbor Andrew Farron. Nathan followed, shooting and killing them both.
This is something that has taken place through just pure evil.
Farron's uncle speaking out, saying his nephew had his whole life ahead of him. 35 years old, just trying to help. A lengthy history of domestic violence right across the street, he says, affecting his family now too.
With the failure of protecting this poor victim, this poor woman and her child and father-in-law, it ended up branching off to it affected our lives. Total strangers who lost a nephew, who lost his son. So it's very, very important that domestic violence is taken seriously.
Nathan already had a stack of domestic violence allegations against him. Of course, he took off with that little girl. An Amber Alert was issued. They were fortunately found. Little Serafina was unharmed. He was arrested, but authorities later found the murder weapon ditched in a nearby canal. That's the latest here in Tamarack. I'm Andrew Perez, Local 10 News.
Thank you, Andrew. That suspect's family telling us they never imagined he could do something like this.
And this may be the most chilling video of all.
A neighbor who did not wish to go on camera showed us these chilling mud tracks left behind from when he says Mary ran door to door screaming for help. The neighbor saying the bigger tracks are from Nathan, who was right behind her, and the little ones from their little girl who was begging her father to stop.
A lot of heavy emotions in this neighborhood this morning, as you heard from one of those neighbors. A lot of people are just absolutely shocked and appalled of what went on here over the weekend. Now, there's a lot of depth to this story. We've learned court records show that Mary and Nathan had some sort of complicated relationship, a domestic one that led them to a legal battle, one over custody of their child, and another that led Mary to filing to extend some sort of restraining order on Nathan. Unfortunately, it does not appear that that restraining order kept him from coming back to this neighborhood in Tamarack. For now, I'm live in Tamarack. Michaela Hightower, Local 10 News.
Oh, such a terrible situation, and our team coverage now continues with Local 10's Roy Ramos.
He joins us live with more on the suspect in this case. What happened this morning, Roy?
Well, we have learned that the suspect is former military, and he worked for a company by the name of General Dynamics, which is a military defense subcontractor that is based out of Doral. As Michaela mentioned, there were court documents that we've been able to obtain that showed that he did have a very troubled marriage and a history of domestic violence. I'll show you who we're talking about here. 43-year-old Nathan Gingles now behind bars at the Broward County Jail facing 3 murder charges after the sheriff deputies say that he shot and killed his wife Mary before then kidnapping their 4-year-old daughter Seraphine, then shooting her father. and the nephew of a neighbor in Tamarack on Sunday. Now, we looked into the criminal history of Nathan and found that he was also facing charges for violation of an injunction of protection of domestic violence and interference with the custody of a minor. 3 cases were filed in family court just last year, showed that he had a connection to military service. One of the cases involved domestic violence, where his wife Mary was the petitioner, but the case was later closed. There was also a dissolution of marriage filed last February that involved a subpoena to the Navy Federal Credit Union, where both Nathan and Mary were receiving benefits. A second domestic case was filed by Mary in December, where she was seeking protection. That judge granting that a little more than 3 weeks ago, but sadly she and 2 others would lose their lives at the hands of who investigators with the Broward Sheriff's Office says was Nathan Gingles. Now, Nathan is expected to face a judge at some point today on a number of charges that include premeditated first-degree murder. We will be there for that and let you know what the judge decides. For now, outside of the Broward County Jail here in Fort Lauderdale, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Turning now to a tragedy in Tamarack after a triple murder.
A man facing charges accused of killing his estranged wife, his father-in-law, and also a neighbor who was just trying to help out. Local 10's Michaela Hightower joining us now live from the scene with the latest on this domestic violence tragedy. Michaela.
Yeah, preliminary arrest report reveals that Nathan Gingles allegedly shot his father-in-law in the head while that father-in-law was standing on the back patio of this Tamarack home drinking coffee. In that report, authorities saying they found that victim lying on his side with coffee cup still in his hand. Now he is only one of 3 victims. Authorities are now investigating this incident. And details are disturbing. As we learn, the court records reveal this was a domestic violence relationship that went on for some time.
How could this happen?
The law let them down. It was all preventable, 100% preventable.
That's the question relatives of 3 slain victims are asking after what appears to be a years-long relationship that turned deadly. Sunday morning, Mary Gingles' life was cut short, along with her father's and a Good Samaritan who tried to help her get away from her estranged husband, Nathan Gingles. These gunshots and a woman's screams could be heard on this surveillance video. The 43-year-old man is facing a slew of charges, including 3 counts of murder. The troubled marriage going back to last February when Mary filed for divorce. In an injunction victim statement, Mary saying, quote, "Because of Nathan's psychotic behavior, his multiple threats, his drug use, his multiple many silenced firearms, and my impending divorce action, I am afraid Nathan will kill me and my daughter."
I'm so sad for my brother and my niece, and the other gentleman that lost his life wasn't even involved in anything. He just answered his door and was shot.
After witnessing the alleged crime, 4-year-old Seraphine is now left without her mother and faces the possibility of being without her father. Nearby neighbor surveillance video shows the child trailing behind Nathan after gunshots were heard. In a victim statement in that injunction, Mary also writing, quote, "He sang a song that he was going to shoot me, and there was nothing I could do about it."
There's a huge paper trail. Nathan had violated his restraining order multiple times and entered the house.
Now, we've been in contact with the attorney that handled Mary Gingles' divorce filing. She said she did not wish to comment at this time. Meanwhile, Nathan Gingles is expected to have a bond hearing later this afternoon. That's the very latest. I'm live in Tamarack. Michaela Hightower, Local 10 News.
We have live team coverage tonight as we're now hearing from loved ones of those killed.
And our coverage starts with Local 10's Terrell Forney. He is live in Tamarack with emotional reaction from the family. Terrell.
And this entire situation sparked a statewide Amber Alert. In the end, that 4-year-old girl was found unharmed, her father placed into cuffs and taken to jail. And tonight we are also hearing from a man who lost not just his brother, but also his niece in this triple shooting. He says it feels like his entire family is living a nightmare.
No words can explain it. I'll never get to talk to my brother again.
David Ponzer was staying in his daughter's Tamarack home to solely protect her from an estranged husband. But on Sunday morning, the 64-year-old was shot dead on the back patio. Investigators say at the hands of Nathan Gingles, who violated the terms of a restraining order. Mary Gingles ran to the doors of neighbors for help. And Nathan trailing behind with their 4-year-old daughter, Seraphine, in tow for the terror. 35-year-old Andrew Farron was that Good Samaritan who was also killed as he too tried to protect that woman from the gunman. Andrew's uncle speaking with Local 10.
Who lost a nephew, who lost his son. So it's very, very important that domestic violence is taken seriously.
On Monday, divers with the Broward Sheriff's Office searched the nearby canal, where we're told they recovered the actual murder weapon used in the crime.
I want justice so bad for Mary and David and the other victim.
So Frank speaking from his home in Colorado. Meanwhile, we know that little Seraphine, that 4-year-old girl, she is now in the custody of the Department of Children and Families. And her father is now facing a series of charges to include armed burglary, child abuse, child neglect, and kidnapping. We are live in Tamarack tonight. Terrell Forney, Local 10 News.
Just so heartbreaking. Terrell, thanks a lot. Our live team coverage continues with Local 10's Sanella Zabovic live in Fort Lauderdale tonight.
She has more on the shocking new details being revealed about the suspect. And Sanella, what do we know so far?
Well, Janice and Calvin, court records show a troubled marriage with a lengthy history of domestic violence. The suspect's estranged wife one day feared that he would kill her. Sadly, that happened yesterday. Nathan Gingles was arrested. He is here at the Broward County Main Jail, where he's facing several first-degree murder charges. In Mary's own words, in her victim statement, she wrote, "He's saying that he was going to shoot me and there was nothing I could do about it."
Court records show the couple was going through a divorce. The divorce petition states the mother and child were both physically abused by the father, and on one occasion, it states that the girl watched the father drag the mother up the stairs while in a chokehold. It also states that the father sang songs about killing his wife. Mary's divorce attorney called the shooting a senseless tragedy and says she also represented the mother in 2 separate domestic violence cases. We spoke to one of Mary's friends over the phone.
It shouldn't get to this point. The system needs to be fixed. That's where my frustration is coming in. Because loved ones, like if you look around right now, look at all the lives that have been affected because of one person's action.
And I apologize if the volume on this next clip is low. That was the best I could get it.
A triple murder in Tamarack. The suspect accused of killing 3 people, including his own wife, then kidnapping their child, appearing before a judge today. And Local 10's Rush Lowe live now in Lauderhill with new details released in his arrest warrant. Rush.
Okay, let me first tell you why we are live in Lauderhill outside of this apartment complex. According to the arrest warrant, shortly after these brutal, tragic murders, investigators were actually able to track the suspect's cell phone to this apartment complex. When they get here, according to the warrant, the suspect is not here, but they would soon find him and his child at a nearby Walmart.
That these allegations are both shocking and brutal in nature, and that Mr. Gingles poses an extreme danger.
State prosecutors describing a brutal scene involving 3 murders, all while they said 43-year-old Nathan Gingles' 4-year-old daughter watched her father on this violent rampage.
I'm also ordering no victim contact with the minor with the initials of SG.
Nathan faced a Broward judge on a slew of new charges that included burglary, kidnapping, and child abuse. In an arrest document we obtained, it states Nathan violated the terms of a restraining order, showing up to his wife Mary's Tamarack home, where he allegedly first shot and killed her father, 64-year-old David Ponzer, as he was drinking coffee on his daughter's back porch.
I'm so sad for my brother and my niece and the other gentleman that lost his life, wasn't even involved in anything. He just answered his door and was shot.
Mary seen on surveillance video running away as Nathan is seen hunting her down to another home, where detectives said he shot and killed her all while pulling their 4-year-old daughter, Seraphine, in tow for the terror.
I mean, as a father, I can't imagine that, doing that to my ex-wife, the mother of the kids.
So this afternoon, we try to get any reaction from people who may have seen the suspect at his residence. Couldn't get any reaction to that. We do know, according to the arrest warrant, that investigators were able to come here, as I mentioned, because of his cell phone, were able to get the suspect on surveillance video, and they were able to track him to the Walmart. As far as the suspect goes, he's being held without a bond, that little girl in the custody of the state, and he can't have any contact with her. We're live in Lauderhill tonight. I'm Rosh Lowe, Local 10 News.
When precious little Seraphine went to bed on February 15th, her little life was whole. She had her mother who loved her, and her grandpa visiting, who probably loved to spoil her like grandparents do. And her little world was a safe place. But when she woke up the next morning, her entire little world came crashing down in ways that will probably scar her forever. The gunshots, the screams, pleading with her father to stop, watching her father gun down her mother. She's 4 years old, and she's experienced pure evil. And with little to no understanding of what happened that horrific morning, or why. She's now without parents, without her grandfather, without her home, and without anything left that made her little world make sense. All because her psycho father brought pure evil to her house that morning. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inside the Dark. Take care, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, where I'll be waiting to take you back inside the dark.